What's going on YouTube? Hey guys, it's Ben Nader. I'm back. This is the channel where you already know we talk about recruiting and staffing, business, entrepreneurship. If you love all of that, be sure you smash the subscribe button right now so that you can see every single video I make. Hit the alert button. I vlog every single day on those topics, and so I think it'll add a lot of value to your business, your life overall. Let's jump right into today's topic, which is how to play the follow-up game. This is something I've been meaning to get at for quite a while now because I know it's super important, and a lot of you guys that I talk to, practically almost everybody, asks me about follow-up procedures and basically how to play the follow-up game. So let's kind of make some rules up and get right into it and give you the standard protocol of what follow-up means and how you should do it and what's proper and what's not proper. So first thing, bottom line, you absolutely need to be following up with your prospects, your potential clients, right? So as a startup recruiting agency, you need to do tons of lead generation, and a lot of that will include following up with potential clients. So basically, clients will not come to you. You have to come to the client. So that's why follow-up is extremely critical, because it's just the way things go. It's the flow. It's the way, the water just flows downhill, right? So, clients are not coming to you. You have to come to the client. So follow-up is absolutely critical. So I'll preface this video by absolutely saying you need to be doing follow-up. If you're not doing follow-up, you're definitely missing out on at least 25% of potential sales, 25% of your potential new clients, stuff like that. So someone's got to get the conversation going. Someone's got to keep the conversation alive, and that's you. That's not the client. So that's always your job. Once it's an established relationship and you have communication, follow-up is over and it's an established relationship. But someone's got to start that convo, get the fire lit, and then keep it going. So that's my preface on overall. Now let's talk about what constitutes follow-up, right? Because people don't know what it is. So I just want to lay it out there and give you a brief definition or description of what my interpretation of follow-up is, right? So I've been in cold call sales for like 5 years, had my recruitment agency for almost 2 years now, close to it, and basically done a ton of follow-up. So in my experience, follow-up is essentially just reaching back out to a client that you've had any sort of interaction with, and I'll go over this right now, and restarting the conversation or attempting to restart that conversation or keep it going. So examples would be, if someone was emailing you and you had an email conversation going, send them another email, right? If you chatted with them, 2 days ago and they, haven't talked back to you, send them another email. That's a follow-up, right? Also, in your emails, end the email with a question. It's oftentimes that when people see a question, they feel compelled to respond. So end your email with, were you still looking for 2 candidates, or were you looking to fill out those other positions as well, or something like that? Make them think they need to answer it, so you get that follow-up kind of greased and lubed, and it'll come to fruition. So that's one thing. The second thing would be get permission, right? So whether you're cold calling and talking to someone on the phone, or whether you're emailing them back and forth, get permission from this potential client. Hey, can I email you back by Friday if I don't hear from you? Or how about I just don't even ask? How about you just say, I'll catch up with you on Monday to kind of see where we're at on this. So let them know, set expectations that the follow-up will happen by Monday. If this is like a Wednesday conversation, I'll follow up with you on Monday and we'll see where we're at, right? So set some expectations so that it's okay. And it's not weird anymore. It's not weird when you set that up and you say, hey, I'm going to call you on Monday, or I'm going to email you on Monday. Nothing is weird at that point. So do those things. Those will help you out a ton. And if you're only exchanging emails with people, right, basically change it up, right? They might be more active on a different platform. So if it's just email after email after email, hit them up on LinkedIn, right? Connect with them on LinkedIn if you're not already. Start messaging them on LinkedIn and be like, hey, Bob, how goes the day, or whatever, right? That's a follow-up touch, right? When I use the word touch, I mean any sort of contact, like an email, a LinkedIn connection, a note, a cold call, anything like that. That's a touch, and that's what we call. That's important because I'm going to talk about that in a second. So shoot them a connection request on LinkedIn if you've only been emailing. If you've only been on LinkedIn and conversing that way, get on email with them and start connecting with them on email. See, people use different platforms in different ways, and they use them more often than not. So like, you might be a texter, somebody else might be a Facebook Messenger person, and that's the way they communicate all the time. Your potential client might be only email, or they might be only LinkedIn. Like that might be their big thing, and then they only are going to use email when they get the agreement and DocuSign it and stuff like that. So think about those things, analyze how this client is working with you, figure out the best strategy to actually link with them, get in touch, and make a successful follow-up. So however you need to weave through that basket, like get there, right? So switch your platform up, do something like that. So if it's all LinkedIn, go to email. If it's all email, go to LinkedIn, yada, yada. And then if it's just either or of those, maybe just hop on the phone with them, right? Cold call them. Like if you haven't called them yet, but you've exchanged 5 emails or so, call them. Just give them a cold call and follow up that way, right? That's another huge way to do it. Some people have, opinions on this, and some people would just cold call off of the bat. Some people wouldn't even start with these emails or LinkedIn connections, things like that. I agree with some of that. I disagree with some of it as well. A lot of people, I think, really engage over email, and I actually do a ton of cold email, and it's made me most of my money, but a lot of people think that the phone is the best tool. So, follow up by phone if necessary, right? That's just another tool in your arsenal in a way that you can actually constitute a follow-up, right? So a cold call would be one of them. But overall, it's just any sort of reach out, next reach out after an initial reach out, that constitutes a follow-up, right? So it's not desperate, right? You don't want to do this like if you're sitting there and emailing them like 6, 7, 8 times and you have no response. Follow-up's not really a thing anymore. So understand that there's limits, and I'll talk about that here in a second. When to follow up, okay? So this is really the meat of everything, right? So basically, if you have a positive initial interaction with a potential client, that's hot, which means that you should be following up with them within 2, maximum 3 days. I'd actually just say 1 to 2 days, to be honest with you. Really depends on how the conversation ended. Everything is unique. Consider all of this advice as unique because every situation is going to be different. Somebody might be on vacation for a week. Follow up with me in 2 weeks. I'm going to be in Prague, whatever, dude. Like, here's the deal. If someone has a positive interaction with you and says, yeah, Ben, I think that would be awesome. We actually need 10 new production line workers. Let me get back to you here on, Monday, right? I'm not going to cold call them the next day. I'll wait till Monday. But if you have a positive interaction, it's kind of open-ended. Go ahead and follow up with them within 1 to 2 days because that's very hot and you want to snap on it when it's hot. I would say the next one is if you get a negative or non-interested, that's an absolute non-starter. Just do not follow up with the person. Cut bait, forget about it, and don't worry about it. Just move on, right? We don't chase, we just replace. So that's how it works in recruiting and sales for that matter. So if you get absolutely just like a no response, like 0 response, not a negative or a positive response, this is someone that I would probably put on an email list and I would probably ping them in about a week. If nothing comes back from them, ping them back in a week. You don't want to be desperate because desperate would be pinging them in like 2 days after that. That's like, whoa, this guy's hitting me up so much. As soon as they get that second email, they're going to be like, all right, I don't want to do this type of thing with this guy. Forget it. So ping that person in a week. If you get 0 response, it just means they may not have seen it. They may have seen it and just kind of overlooked it, something of that nature. So a week is a nice safe zone to ping them back. And that reminds me, everyone you contact, you should be recording. So whether or not you use an ATS system that records everything, all your emails, or you're just using Gmail and you're basically just keeping track, whether it's on Excel or whatever you're doing, I don't care. Just keep track of these emails and who you contacted on what days. And it's really pretty easy, right? Like, honestly, like, you guys know I have a really simple system. I use Apple Notes, literally, for my clients and candidates and everything. And I have a list of all my contacts. I have dates when I contacted them, all of their emails and their names and the company. And so I set that up really, really simply. It works great for me. If you have an ATS, it'll work even better for you. But, right now, it just depends whether you want to pay for an ATS if you're just starting up or not. But at any rate, So if you have a non-responder, send them a weekly cadence email. If they still don't respond, just keep them on like a drip campaign. Drip campaign basically means that you're just dripping an email out to them like an IV drip, right? It comes out so-and-so slowly. Every week, shoot them out an email. Hey, it looks like you might have missed my last email. Wanted to connect with you about such and such. No problem at all, right? Just do it. Just send out that weekly email. You even have to do it manually. And I'll talk about automation here in a second. But that's for non-responsive people, right? And overall, with these cadences, like, you know, these are standard, right? Like, these people shouldn't be offended. Nobody cares, to be frank with you. Nobody honestly gives a crap if you email them like 6 times and they haven't responded or whatever. Like, it's not going to matter, okay? So if they get an email from you and you linked up with the proper person at the proper company and you had a non-response and you sent them like anywhere from like 4 to possibly 6 emails over the course of like a month and a half, they're not going to go spread your name and be like, oh, Ben is so pushy and this and that. They didn't respond to you. They just don't care. Forget about it. It doesn't matter. Nobody actually cares. So don't worry. You're not being a pest. Don't ever think you're being a pest when you're following up with people. That is going to screw you. If you think that you're being a pest, you're going to get really timid about it and you're not going to do proper follow-up. So proper follow-up means being bold, having the cojones to just go after it and be like, I'm following up. And this should just be standard for you, right? So don't worry about being a pest or anything like that. Like, you know, overall, it's either going to be a yes or a no or a complete, you know, non-response. But the deal is, overall, that nobody really cares when you email them. And if they respond positively, great. If they don't respond, put them on the week drip. And if they're a negative response, obviously it's a non-starter, so don't even worry about it. The last thing I want to talk about is basically the philosophy of follow-up. So in general, right, follow-up's necessary, like I said at the beginning, just because it's absolutely like been proven that you need anywhere from 7 to 8 touches. And again, I define touches as anything like an email, a phone call, a LinkedIn connection, or whatever it might be, some interaction, 7 to 8 touches to actually close a deal, like sign an agreement, get something going. 7 to 8, think about that for a second. 7 to 8 touches. That could mean over a month, 2 months, it could mean over a week. It just depends, right? And it might happen in 2 touches. It might happen in 13 touches, right? Like, we don't know, but the average is 7 to 8. So keep that in mind, right? Understand that if you call someone and they're like, yeah, I don't know, we're thinking about doing that. I think we might bring a recruiting agency on board. Understand that needs follow-up, like 7 to 8 touches, okay? Like, they need more. Like, they don't make these decisions like, you know, on a snap, like I was just doing. Like, you need to follow up with them. 7 to 8 touches is the average. The first thing about, you know, the philosophy with following up is that it shows you're incredibly serious about what you're offering. And you see it as very valuable for them, and therefore you take your time to actually follow up with them and connect out back with them. Shows them that you're very serious. If they receive an email or a call from you or something like that, they're like, wow, he's pretty serious. Like, okay, you know, whatever. And on the third email, they might say, okay, well, let me respond and let's have a conversation, right? Shows them that you're serious. The next thing would be is that the honest truth is that people are very less concerned with the emails you're sending them than you are, okay? So when I send an email out to a company that looks rock star and they want to hire like maybe 10 people and I'm like, man, this is gonna be killer. It could make me a $20,000 a month or whatever. The deal is that hiring manager might be looking to hire, but he's also definitely, I almost guarantee, not as concerned with responding and getting the whole thing going as much as you are. Sometimes they are. Sometimes it's like right away, let's go. Oh my God, I'm so glad you called. But at the same time, you know, probably 90% of the time, they're a little bit less concerned than you are about the email that you sent them. So they're going to overlook it. They'll put it off for tomorrow. They might put it off 2 days, which is why your 1 to 2 day follow-up comes into play, right? Because it'll nudge that hiring manager back into the space where you want them to be, where you're on a level-headed connection and you can actually get a conversation started. So, definitely, like, the truth about it is that they're not as concerned as you are. I would say, again, 7 to 8 touches is average. Always remember that. That's philosophical. It's also been tested. It's literally scientific. 7 to 8 touches. Remember that always. And then I would say that don't ever think, you're being a pest, right? Just remember, you're not being a pest when you do follow-up. If you get a no and you keep emailing someone or keep calling them, that's being a pest. And that will screw up your name in the business, or definitely your deal with that company. I mean, it's never going to happen. If you get a no, just cut bait, like, forget about it, right? So I would say that, but, like, unless it's an absolute no, go with the 7 to 8 touches, right? If it's a non-response, just keep going. If it's a positive response, keep going, but even on a hotter cadence, 1 to 2 days. Let's talk a little bit about automation. So a ton of this stuff, right? People are always automating, and there's a billion different sequence software out there that you can put into your ATS, or your ATS can do this for you. Like, I think Bullhorn, Crelate, Market Hero, I think. There's a bunch of them that do this stuff where they can actually just send out sequence emails for you that will actually just say, here's the next email. And it'll go out automatically. You won't even have to worry about following up with Bob at XYZ IT, right? These sequence softwares will just work for you, and they'll send the follow-ups for you on that cadence, which just frees up your time and stuff like that and allows you to do other business development tasks if you want. But overall, I personally am not using them right now because I personally run kind of like a boutique thing where I just, get in touch with someone. I know exactly when I contact them. I know exactly how to email blast them back. I have my own cadence set up, but there's a ton of automation stuff out there. Definitely worth looking into if you're looking to be efficient, save some time, and if it works for you. Doesn't work for everybody. Like, everybody's not, as hip to the whole, like, auto sequence thing, and they're not all, technologically savvy to set that stuff up. But if you take anything from this video, just understand that follow-up is absolutely required. It's necessary in this business, and it will help you win at least 25% more of these potential clients. So that's it on follow-up, guys. I just wanted to kind of let you know how to play the follow-up game. So if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button right now. And I most assuredly hope that you already smashed the like button if you haven't. And I will catch you guys for sure on Friday. Hope you're having an awesome week. Take care.